ベルドラ様、王手です。
Even though it's just a simple recap episode, and by the way I'll list this as 13 since my anime list is kind of confusing itself by listing it as both episodes 1 to 12 but also 1 to 24 this season, I'm straight away impressed by the fire effects right here, just doing that little extra. They can as always take a win here purely for the recap. It's well written and to the point, and in fairness is very much needed for most people since a lot was covered in the first half of the second season, which is amazing considering it didn't feel at all rushed.
無限牢獄の解析鑑定が終了しました。ようやく約束を果たせる。今解放してやるよ。ラファエル、俺の分身を作ってくれ。
There really is just something quite infectiously impressive to me when it comes to Tenshura's animation style. It's clean and crisp and nowhere near over the top like some others I've seen that I found off-putting.
やっぱりちょっと成長してるし、なんか我ながら。美しいな。
Not gonna lie, bruh, you're definitely starting to look hot. It is what it is, isn't it?
コク、マスターと個体名ベルドラの魂の回廊の確率を確認しました。
逆らう者は皆殺しだ。
Ah, so that's who that was on the cover art all of this time. I had been wondering that ever since I first saw it, and now that does make a lot of sense. Okay, let's go. Take a well-deserved, slightly shocked and surprised related win. Just loads and loads of funny, but more importantly, unique pieces of animation right there. Because why the heck not?
あ、そう。胃袋生活を満喫していたようで何よりだよ。
せっかく復活したのに、そっけないではないか。
Oh my word, I'm so glad he's immediately back to being a tsundere. That's brilliant.
何がずっともだ。ネタが古いんだよ。
I like that moment between the two of them. It's very Black Clover-ish, and I like this new character already in his human form. He's not new, the form is. You feel me?
アルティメットスキル、ウリエルの獲得に成功しました。アルティメットスキルが合計4つになったのかよ。そういうことです。
Ah, that's so cool. I tell you, when you write a story in which the main character is meant to be overpowered, you can really delve into things like this and still make it equally as interesting as it would normally be, although it's definitely more impressive to pull it off, that's for sure. Another great example being One Punch Man. You know what, ladies and gents? This is a rare one, alright? But it's actually getting 2 wins. First of all, if I hear a song and love it right away, that's rare for me to be honest. I'm talking love, not like of course, that's more common for me. Second of all though, it's the sheer volume of just gorgeous looking animation, and again, like I said, it's so appealing looking to me and I'm not even sure why entirely. As an OP, it's also well edited, as always, and does a good job of tickling my fancy by showing enemies old and new, and teasing some big events. So that just ticks all the boxes for me. This feels like a Dragon Ball Z reference and not even fibbing, I loved it. Great voice acting too, really went all in on that scream, and the CGI looks gorgeous with that golden glow, very anime Winsy style with the win counter hitting 200, although that's in one more win, but look out for it.
リムルとは心の友、魂の片割れ、盟友である、盟友である、盟友である。やめて!
Oh yeah, there's your 200 wins. Look at it in all its glory. I swear these bunch of mad lads are just going insane right now with the level of animation, just way above and beyond what anyone would ever expect them to be pulling out for a scene as small as this. It's super early on, but I'm dropping a win here for this character now being a focal point of Season 2. It's already really lively and hype building and I like stuff like that. Just like they did right at the start of Season 2, massive sombrero-sized hats off to them for taking the time to draw each individual person for this frame. Season 2 went very dark towards the second half of the first half, if you know what I mean, like around episode 7 onwards, and so it's a genuine joy for my heart to witness everyone back together for a scene like this, and the music really adds to the wholesome feeling too. Kazuma continuing to exist within the parameters of this anime will continue to be a win. As soon as I hear the guy's voice, I start to smile. Be sure to check out Everything Great About Konosuba Season 1 if you haven't already. Very proud of the job I did on that. Very simple and straightforward win on her character. Her still being in it equals a win. It just does. You know, I was actually considering putting in a sin here for the other version, but then they actually amazed me by addressing the state of the food and how it's clearly not edible, and I'm over here just proper shocked.
ですね、私が加工しようとすると建物も一緒に切ってしまうので、はい。この合力丸は素晴らしい切れ味なのですが、ちょっと長くて。
You just gave a reason why she cooks that way. I love you.
私は合力丸一筋なのです。浮気はちょっと。
今度包丁をプレゼントしてやろうと思ってたが。
間違ってました。私の勘違いです。合力丸も多少の浮気は大丈夫と言ってます。
Ah, I totally forgot just how great Tenshura's comedy is. Oh, that was perfect timing.
うまい
Color me shocked. Genuinely. What the hell?
拝命します。このガビル身を粉にして働きまする。
Okay, Kazuma already got a win, that's fair enough, but these guys constantly rooting for him also warms my heart and makes me laugh in equal measure too.
ファルムス王国の後始末、西方聖教会の動きへの牽制の必要性、それから獣王国の連中との約束である。
Two wins here. Firstly, as many of you know, I'm always a big fan of seeing a world map. I enjoy just getting a sense of the world and how it looks, and it takes creativity to boot. Second win is for laying out the plan for the next few episodes or perhaps the season as a whole, and it's a genuinely awesome sounding plot, so I'm here for it.
全戦力を持ってクレイマンを叩き潰すため、自分たちの持つ力を把握するんだ。
了解です、リムル様。
捕虜の尋問を任せる。
お任せを、リムル様。
Also take one more here for the logical approach to their plans, such as accounting for their strength and also interrogating prisoners to find out additional information. Tenshura does a fantastic job when it comes to logically thinking things through during their plans, and it all feeds into the amazing world building and story at large.
ファルムス王国の軍勢なんだけどね、もう全滅させちゃったんだ。The reaction on his face and the voice acting lined up beyond perfectly there.
その一団からは明確な敵対反応が確認されていません。
あ、さっき俺が面倒だなんて言ったから。
Her becoming an actual kind of sentient being in this anime is well worthy of a win, even if it's just for small little bits like this.
真珠に抱かれた年より降りてきたのか。いや、その体はおそらくは。
人間と区別できないほどに精巧なホムンクルスか。
The intriguing introduction of these new characters, firstly for the notion that they're elves who live in really high places, like your boy loves stuff like that, throw it at me as much as you want, and secondly because they're clearly interesting given their skills on display here.
炎よ、燃えよ、はぜよ、荒れ狂え、集いて弾け、防衛をまき散らせ。
突然何してんだこのおっさん。
Plot twist!
ちょっとパパ、何しに来たのよ。
The fact that a potential plot hole was nicely avoided by some of his crew actually coming outside and dealing with the threat. Weirdest win of the video is going to placement, because they actually showed him walking out to greet the king and then proceeded to have the entire scene take place clearly within the grounds outside where they show them speaking at the end. I enjoy stuff like that. It's just attention to detail. Beautiful ED, just super chilled, relaxing and calming, a perfect way to end any anime episode in all honesty, and the song was lovely as well with a gorgeous scenery shot at the very end for extra measure.
なんやねんあんた。神聖なはずのこの場所に。
Man oh man, this anime just keeps on adding more and more lore to its story, bringing back these clown guys from the first season, mentioning the Holy Empire's inner sanctum and how this guy is a vampire, like holy heck!
やあラプラス、大変だったみたいだね。
Second weirdest win of the video, actually showing a cup filling up with a liquid, like you'd be amazed how rare that is, and even then oftentimes it's like pouring 5 pints into a teacup, but this was spot on.
ほ 殿。
ああ、僕の中にいた君たちの会長の魂は無事にホムンクルスに定着したよ。
会長がついに復活。
Color me even further shades of intrigued.
このべっぴんさんが
Kawaii.
中央道家連一同待っとったで。ワイもフットマンもピアもクレイマンもな。
Now this is getting interesting, as the pieces of the puzzle behind the enemy's power structure is finally being put into place, and a lot more is now making sense to me. Good on them for not throwing it at us the past 3 episodes by endless exposition. Just a lovely series of info drops within the confines of their conversation, delving a little more into the past and present and further opening up the doors on the secrets of the plot.
俺はいきさつを話した。この世界にスライムとして転生したこと。
I'm sure it's likely from the first episode, but all the same, lovely looking CGI right there.
我が魔導王朝サリオンも天帝陛下に報告するだけで良いが、問題は西方聖教会か。
Even though there's a lot of talking, Tensura should really be praised for its ability to do it so well and not bog the scene or the story down in minutia, and they've done this numerous times successfully. To contrast this, and I'll be 100% honest, you've got Log Horizon, of which I've covered the first season on Anime Sins, and that for me was a lot of talking but did bog down the scenes and story overall, so a great example here. Then of course the rest of the majority of the scene continues to go by just as smoothly, tying together the formation of the plot, moving forwards their relationships as the leaders of nations, and of course what to do about the biggest threat facing them in the Holy Church. I'm also impressed on the side about how they never felt the need to do any long segments containing flashbacks, instead keeping it short and sweet and flashing straight back to the present. Well worth the win because it's just decent writing and pacing, the bread and butter of Tensura.
死体は全て消え、証拠はない。そして生存者も誰一人としていない。ならばどうとでも筋書きを変えられよ。聞く者を皆納得させられれば良いのだ。
This was a difficult thing to thrust upon him as a character, but I think it was done expertly, because it's not easy to say he did away with 200,000 people and then is carefree about it, so it had to be built up by showing their evil deeds upon his friends and citizens, and it was about being able to bring back those innocents instead. Like, it's still a somewhat hard sell, but they did what they had to do within the story to have it make sense as best as possible, and that's great.
ああ、過ぎたことはもういいだろう。
さらっと流すな。
お、元気出てきたね。
たく、上になんて報告すれば。
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this a new thing? Kind of showing off the other speakers in the scene if they're not on screen? I think that's an interesting aspect to bring in. Gives it a little bit of a Persona 5 kind of vibe for me.
異世界人を呼び出す召喚魔法は公にはできぬ禁断の秘技でしょう。西方諸国評議会では禁止事項に指定されてますし。
Most isekai anime seem to stray away from ever giving much of an explanation as to how their characters get transported to another world, instead keeping it basic at the start and then rarely, if ever, revisiting the issue. So personally, I find it very refreshing when anime like this one and ReZero keep it focused during the main story and discuss it often.
ではどちらが上かはっきりさせ。
させんでよろしい。ベルドラ、まさかお前。
That's like next level, not in your face type of comedy. That Veldora was caught standing up ready to do what these two just did and got stopped by his outburst right beforehand. That's brilliant.
なんだって
Ever so slight JoJo related and very subtle looking art style change.
ベルドラは昔私がワンパンで沈めてやったからね。口ほどにもないやつだったわよ。ははお、ベルドラ
That was a hell of a build-up to a joke, but goodness me if it wasn't worth the wait!
欲深いファルムス王国のエドマリス王がテンペストへ軍を向け戦争になり敗北したとする。その上でファルムス軍の大量の死者が最悪の封印を解いてしまい、眠れる邪竜暴風竜ベルドラを復活させた。
I believe it's super praiseworthy to create this part of the story, explaining away how he became a demon lord in such a way so as not to shock the rest of the world into action against them. I think it's fair to say that most other anime without such a well thought out story would just lean in too much on how overpowered he is and leave it at that. But instead the focal point always seems to be on the city and world building and not just on how overpowered the main character is.
まずはエドマリス王を解放し、 テンペストへの侵攻に対しての賠償を行わせる。
あの国が賠償にまともに応じるとは思えんのですが。
本当の目的はファルムス王国内に内戦を起こさせることだ。一度滅ぼし、新しい国に生まれ変わらせる。
There's also always loads of intrigue such as times like this. I think it's hard to put into words, but essentially I love it when clearly large amounts of effort are put into a story. No weird or confusing shortcuts, just logical progressing of the story, and this season has that in spades thus far. Also though, take another win here for how the story isn't treating viewers like kids, pretending that wiping out 200,000 soldiers was no big deal, pretending that starting a civil war in another country in order to take it over is a happy-go-lucky hop and a skip of a good time. Like it's treading a fine balance between being pretty dark and also keeping things light-hearted, and it's doing it beautifully, and I'm not even sure how, I just know it's happening.
知るかよ。俺だって好きで王様になろうってんじゃないんだ。だがよ、俺を信じて託されたこの役目、断ったんじゃ男が廃るだろうが。
Credit to keeping his character the same throughout, because it's true he never did actually want to do it, but he's doing it for his friend and leader, someone he owes, and if he stood there now suddenly having a change of heart about valiantly leading this new nation, it would be a microwaved and overly crispy piece of character progression once you popped it out your Samsung microwave.
よむよ。我が国が貴様に望むのは農作物の生産だ。他国と競合する分野ではなく、独自の分野を伸ばす方が。
俺からも頼む、ヨム。欲しい作物は要相談ってことで。
Just a prime example of how the anime comfortably leans into its city building type roots right here.
揃いも揃って国を担う人々が他者を疑いもせず本音で語り合うなどと。
Actually addressing this aspect of their very free and open meeting, something probably utterly unknown to most of them prior to Slime-chan arriving in their world. Another really cool subject was just brought up here that's worth a win, and that's simply discussing the truth behind certain unlikely allegiances that are formed between their smaller nation and the monster nation, since it did initially seem suspicious, but it's nicely explained away as them putting their eggs in one successful looking basket rather than rely on the unreliable Western Church. Again, I'm just impressed that they address the things that pop into my head nearly every time it does pop into the old noggin upstairs.
俺が望むままに暮らしやすい世界を作りたい。できるだけみんなが笑って暮らせる豊かな世界を。
Rimuru stating how he wants to use his power in a very charitable way to make his life comfortable, but to also improve everyone else's life and let them live happily, following it up with an extremely poetic statement about power and ideals that actually makes sense, since a lot of the time in anime, I find these poetic attempts kind of lacking or not making much sense.
こちらからも良き関係を築きたいと思っていた。その話、ぜひともお受けしたい。
That's a lovely shot right there, not only artistically speaking, but also to prove the warmth emanating from a true and honest and kind slime boy. Genuinely stunning looking end of day senior shot.
聞いたで、ユーラザニアへ攻め込むんやで。
ああ、首都はミリムが消し飛ばしたが。
Dio continuing to walk around and talk about in episodes of Tensura will continue to earn the anime a Konodio-da related win of awesomeness. Take one final win here for the very end of the episode, adding a splash of intrigue to the dish just for some light flavouring before we move forwards, as it's suggested that Diodono I is perhaps being controlled by someone else behind the scenes. Intrigue!
おいラミリス、そのヒロインが誰とくっつくかばらされたくなかったらさっさと来た目的を言え。はい。
She's an actual great source of comedy with reactions like that. Great voice actor too. Fits her character to a damn T.
なんで滅亡するんだ？慌てないで落ち着いて。いい？話には順序があるのよ。別に慌ててないが。
I'm sorry, it might sound weird giving a win for that, but I love comedy like that, bruh. It's like kinda super to me. Nicely using these few minutes to set up the next big part of the story, focusing on the Demon Lords and their actions regarding the main character. Just a lovely flow to the story in this second half thus far. I looked up her voice actor. I'm very surprised to see the tiny amount of roles she has done, but she's great. Well worth adding a win for the work she's done in this one.
だからこの町に迷宮への入り口を作るけどいいわよね。いいわけないだろ。わあ、いいじゃん。細かいことは気にしない気にしない。
Damn, I swear I love that voice actress.
結局会議はまだまだ続きそうだったので、俺たちは一度休憩することにしたのだった。
Another awesome looking scenery shot that probably took ages to put together and is of night and day.
ラミリス様、遠慮なさらず。
ぜひとも私たちに洗わせてください。
As always, can't show much of it, but needless to say, bathing scene.
街道上の警備及び宿屋の運営も任せてもらいたい。当然だが、それにかかる経費を乗せた通行税もいただくことになる。
Again thinking outside the box, as to be expected of Tenchura, instead of simply saying, yes, we will build the road and then poof, it's done. It's acknowledged to be a big job, and so he negotiates certain reasonable factors. Dedication! Another big favourite of mine, everyone relaxing together and getting to know one another. Just a nice slow down after the recent events at the end of the previous first half of the season.
だとしたらフォルゲンではなさそうだな。
名前は？
ラーメンです。
ラーメンか。
ラーメンなんて魔法使いがファルムスにいたか。
魔法といえばファルムスには魔人ラーゼンがいましたね。
ファルムスの守護者にして英知の魔人と呼ばれる男ですね。
シオン、そいつはラーメンって間違いないんだな。
多分
ラーゼンです。捕虜の名前。はい確定。
Well now, that was absolutely hilarious. Just perfect. Also, take another one here for just excellent pacing and pushing the plot forwards towards the next big part of the story, which was basically what this episode and the previous one was setting up.
軍勢の中で特に魔素量が多いのは
こいつが指揮官か。
中士のヤムザです。
中士？
中士のヤムザ、次士のアダルマン、母士のナインヘッド、小士のピローネ。
Setting up these new enemy characters whilst also giving us an understanding of where they fall onto the overall power structure, an important aspect of anime such as this one.
虫はこの中だと誰が推した？俺はこいつが好きでの。
These two just starting to casually get along now over manga is amazing.
クレイマンの目論見を阻止する作戦を検討したのだが。
It's a small thing, but credit to them for not just constantly reusing the same map and scenery shot over and over again. This is like the fourth, I believe. Actually taking the time to make the magic of transportation make sense so there's no plot holes.
俺が頼むでもなくスキルや魔法を開発してくれているなんて。ラファエルさん素敵。
ありがとうございます。
And then this bit, learning that she's already created the new spell for him to use, and again I'm impressed at how him being overpowered is used as an entertaining element to the anime, and thus isn't off-putting in the slightest as a result.
あらあら、これは私も同意しないとダメな流れだわ。
I still very much like her.
でしょやっぱり名探偵ラミリスさんの読みは正解だったってわけよね。
さすがです。
The only way she could get even better for the comedy value is for her to be tipsy, which I think she might be. Goodness me, it's been a while since I clicked right away with a voice actress.
誰を連れて行くか。
Going first person like it's no big deal whatsoever.
先輩を立てるとしましょう。
お、話がわかりますね。
本当は仲いいのかこの二人。実はベルドラは俺のスキル暴風竜召喚で呼び出せる。
なんとそうであったか。
クレイマンの軍のやつらに食われて第三食料庫も空になったっすよ。これで残るは7つ。次の収穫時期まで苦労しそうっすね。
Thinking up things like this in regards to how much it takes to feed and house an army, and then going even further and talking about how difficult a harvest it will be the next season because of it.
その魔王ミリムが勝手に動いたのだ。その尻拭いをしてやろうという我が軍に対し礼を尽くすのが当然だろう。
Well, if you wanted to immediately paint this new guy as being terrible and make me slightly annoyed, absolutely mission success.
食料を奪われた上に人手まで取られるのは。
黙れよ、ゴミめ。
So I just wrote what I wrote for the previous win, and then, holy hell, the guy gets angry and chops his friggin' arm off. Totally unexpected by me!
というわけでゲルドに命じて数時間のうちに大急ぎで受け入れ体制を整え。
Even though it's very short, I always appreciate the time taken to actually showcase what they're talking about. In this case, the creation of a large living space for the refugees.
こちらの戦力はアルビス、スフィア、フォビオ、ユーラザニアの三獣士に率いられた1万の獣人たち。
That's actually a legitimately awesome looking and detailed scene of their standing army. That right there is is an absolutely incredible looking spell. Amazing use of CGI mixed in as well. Beautiful.
大暴れしたら一発でバレてしまうだろうが。
そうであったな。うっかりしておったぞ。
This guy, in spite of having been given a somewhat small amount of screen time to this point, has grown on me considerably over the past few episodes with that overwhelming and funny personality of his.
すぐに戻りますのでご安心を。
ゆっくりしてきていいぞ。
すぐに戻りますのでご安心を。
ファルムスに放っていたピローネやマリオネットどもの反応が消えたが、ベルドラの復活に巻き込まれていたとはね。
It's like genuinely super appealing to be in on the plan for once in an anime, because I'm sitting here well aware of what Slime Sensei is up to, and this guy's none the wiser, and I can't help but smile, you know?
心配するなよラプラス。私は勝つさ。
The third strangest win of the video goes to these paintings actually being paintings. You'll be amazed once you pay attention how often they are solid blocks of colour or basically nothing. Yet more dedication! I'm not sure how much more of this I can handle in this anime.
少し暑いかな。ああ、暑い暑い。
ミリム。
Millen's still being in this anime and her joyful character and great voice actress. Just a shame I still have to be very careful of what I show of her scene since she's incredibly undressed most of the time.
ご苦労様です。無事に金呪法デモンマリオネットが発動しました。
Understanding now what actually occurred to Millen, and I found it actually quite saddening to witness her going from her usual bubbly self to suddenly being taken over like that. Although coming back to this at the end, she was faking it, but still, I found it sad at the time.
多少のダメージで解除されるようなそんな甘い呪法ではない。散々偉そうにされて君も鬱憤。
Actually annoyed watching him attack her just now. Take a win here for making me genuinely angry at the bad guys, not once, but twice. Yet another new location!
Lord of Darkness. 魔王ギークリムゾン様に申し上げ。
Bruh, not even joking, that's some Lord of the Rings shizzle right there, isn't it? How badass looking was that? Enough to get the scene a win, that's how much.
今回のワルプルギスの提案者はクレイマン。小物だ。だがな、なぜか賛同者にミリムの名がある。ミリムは俺と並ぶ世界最古かつ最強の魔王。
Power structures are important in anime such as this one, and so getting fed these little bits of information really do help set up future storylines, since prior to now one might have assumed Clayman was essentially the endgame, but instead before even taking him on, the mangaka is nicely setting up another logical arc and enemy already built up over time, rather than bad guy A has been destroyed and suddenly bad guy B has made an appearance with no setup.
暴風竜ベルドラが目覚めたそうだぞ。
And just as I mentioned on the previous win, this slightly little reaction is enough to tell me that this all-powerful Demon Lord is at least slightly concerned by the power of the Storm Dragon. Nice touch.
あら、私を忘れているなんて相変わらず冷たい人ね。
Yet another new and cute character da!
それでレオン様、私の弟。 ベルドラが目覚めたのですって?
The revelation that they're friggin' siblings, are you kidding me? I guess he wasn't really put off by the notion of his returned power? Maybe just that he's back in general? I'm confused but loving it. Take my win!
ところで、お前に情報を伝えている協力者とは一体何者だ?
帝国の人間らしいが、詳しくは知らん。自分では商人だと名乗っていたが。
And now swinging this part of the story back into focus once more. I tell you, I'm really impressed time and again at the pacing and how well the laying out of the story is done every episode. It never feels rushed to me, and it never seems confusing like some anime, where they've tried to squeeze 3 episodes into one scene. I think another win can be justified for the end of this episode, once more just doing a really nice job of setting up the next part of the story without rushing anything. I felt calm and relaxed watching, it was easy to intake the information, and I dig that.
出来上がった聖魔核をトレイニーさんの本体であったドリアスから作ったドールに組み込む。クレイマンの策謀で滅びた国が決戦の場所になるか。因果は巡るな。
攻め込むのは宗英と白狼。2人ともやる気になってますし。
お待ちを兄様。
I love when they take stuff like this seriously, the using of an orb for communication and how it works, like having his sister poke her head into view. Some just kind of make up the rules as they go.
リムル様、ご心配には及びません。 自分がシナ様をお守りしますので。
Instead of shouting out every voice actor again, I'll give a win here for all of them. There's some really great ones in this, like Saitama from One Punch Man and Takeo from Oromonogatari, a personal favourite of mine, so yeah, a well-deserved win overall here. Tensura has, over the last dozen episodes or so, done a fantastic job of showing large numbers of soldiers moving. I'm seriously impressed, as it's definitely tough to achieve whilst looking decent. Absolutely perfect use of CGI in an anime that you love to see. Nothing too in your face. Did this make no one else think of Kazuma? Oh hot damn, it's kicking off in a big way right now, boys! She's awesome and so is this scene. Well worth a win alongside seeing their camp and headquarters at the top, just more cases of going the extra mile to produce a realistic looking army that you rarely see. Not giving yourself away before you attack, so not a cliche? Gobta being an absolute mad lad as per usual. It never ceases to amaze me just how far along Gobta has come since the first few episodes of season 1. It's a joy to witness that little goblin boy progress so far. That's so good. Self-preservation in mind. Not something often seen in anime. This ball dude is actually way more interesting than I first thought he may end up being, as originally I surmised he might be a one and done episode kind of guy, but now I'm thinking he may be sticking around. The start of the episode is a good opportunity to show off his character and personality, so I'm hoping I'm correct in my guess. Not Sudden and loud art style change! That's sick! This was not how I expected this battle to go! You've shocked me, Taker! You've shocked me, related win! Unexpected plot twist! I love this guy. Also though, I just figured out that the bald dude is Rudolph von Stroheim from JoJo! The fact that it looks like my theory was correct, that they'll team up eventually, just sooner than I had expected, and for this incredibly weird but hilarious dismount phrase! Oh, he's so awesome! You know what, they can actually take 2 wins here, and the reason is purely and simply due to them circumventing my expectations. I'm so confused as to the current power structure, and as a result I'm left incredibly intrigued by scenes such as this one. This is not going as I had expected it to.
どっちが上か力比べしたいだけの話よ。
ミリム様の配下に怪我でもさせた日にはどのような最悪が降りかかることか。
違いなく大惨事になるっすよ。
分かってるわい。
Okay, I can finally breathe. That was super intense for a while, bro. I'm not even kidding. Unexpectedly awesome and smooth looking animation all of a sudden. That was freaking awesome!
捕虜を乱暴に扱うでないぞ。傷を負った者は治療するのだ。
ゲルド、フォビオを守ってくれたこと。
It's good to see his orders and ideals in play here, taking care of the prisoners so that they may be used in a fair way to rebuild what was destroyed in that country, and of course, morally very nice too. Still lovely seeing everyone like this. Makes me feel like I'm watching a slice of life anime. The music certainly helps to that end too. It's got a lovely video game type vibe to it, like a JRPG village. Taking these next 2 minutes to introduce us to the missing demon lords previously unknown to us and how powerful they are versus a younger storm dragon of the past. Not gonna lie, it's actually feeling a little tense, like they've done an awesome job building up this meeting and dropping hints left, right and centre about how strong each person is or may be. Well played!
クレイマンの城はどこじゃ。この霧でわしの魔力感知が妨害されておるわい。
Ah, yes, I totally forgot that permission was given to take out the castle. My word, how cool is it that they've juggled 3 big events? The battle from the previous episode, the upcoming meeting and no doubt the meeting itself soon enough, and them attacking the castle.
いかにも世がアダルマンである。あまたのアンデッドを従えるホワイトキング。
This anime is so awesome.
わしの動きを読むとは不肉となったその肉体で。
This got super intense out of nowhere! Multiple characters moving within one scene.
侵食せよ、アシッドセル。
フレイムバイ。
Oh, just such gorgeous looking animation mixed with CGI. It's joyful to my eyes.
Curse bind.
Ah, that gets 2 wins! I love stuff like that in anime, man. It reminded me of Shield Hero with the church scene. No spoilers, obviously. Ah, I dig that so much.
世はルミナス教の最高指導者たちに裏切られ、神ルミナスへの信仰を失った。
Learning more about this skeleton, holy-looking bad guy? Always welcome to learn more about enemies where I come from. That being Winnistan in Central Asia. I can't believe I wrote that.
すまぬなシュナド、道連れにさせてもらうぞ。万物よ尽きよ。オーバードライブ。何？私の魔法を上書きしただと？
What a disgustingly beautiful scene that was. So first of all, it's getting the maximum 2 wins award and another separate one that I'll touch on right after. But the double win is for that amazingly high quality CGI and animation, and of course for how stylistically amazing it looked on top of that. So good! And the other win is for the music from that scene. It gave it a totally Fate kind of vibe for when they do massive attacks or maybe Demon Slayer. Loved it.
わしらは強くなったことでうぬぼれておったようですじゃ。
リムル様が心配なされた通り、戦場では何が起こるかわからない。
ぜひともリムル様に我らをお引き合わせ願えないでしょうか。
this just keeps on getting better and better. I also liked the reflection they had just before this as well, talking about how they've grown too accustomed to their new strength and thus were cocky to a degree rather than doing their due diligence. This scene showing everyone entering the meeting and being appraised by Slimy one by one and then throwing us through a loop with not one but 2 mysteries right off the bat. Oh ho! Not only do they skip the ED to give us 90 seconds of extra content, but then they end it with an epic level death stare due to Dio hitting Milim. I'm hyped! Great end! The first few minutes of the episode are a natural build-up listening to Clayman give his warped version of events lying through his teeth, but now comes the revelation that somehow Slimechan was able to capture these key events from the past 2 episodes, incriminating him, and that's a minor plot twist!
そうです。粛清せねばならぬと考えますが、いかに。
だからよ、証拠を出せよ。お前のはな、だったらいいなっていう願望なんだよ。
I must admit, I adore how he is handling these allegations and lies, staying completely calm, and more importantly, talking with concrete logic.
全員で制裁すべきではないですか。
暴挙というなら。
Ah, dude, they're just letting him do whatever he wants. He even kicked a chair at him because he was trying to mind control them during his monologue. Badass! This is so back and forth between me being confident and nervous, it's crazy. But now I've gone from confident to nervous and now super nervous as reinforcements keep on coming out of nowhere. And now I'm back to feeling confident. I can't take much more.
これは国魔王ギーによる結界です。結界内部外部からの一切の干渉が不可と推定。
Finding a way in the story to now force them to fight with only the members of the team they have right there.
思考加速で時間を引き延ばしてラファエルさんの性能をフル活用してそれでギリギリか。
That's some seriously impressive looking animation right there. I love the block destruction effects too, and furthermore, it's awesome to see Rimuru being on the ropes in a fight. Not walking on the spot, when they could have been super lazy and done a simple zoomed in shot instead.
いい従者を手に入れたじゃねえか、ラミリス。
手に入れたんじゃないよ。仲間になったんだよ。そしてリムルもね。それにみんないっぱい。
This could come across to some as a power of friendship kind of move, but for me I see it differently. I see it as a result of his personality and charm and kind heart. I think it's rubbed off on these people in a big way, and we're seeing it here as they're desperate to help him.
この私の最高傑作であるリオーラはどうです？
More decent animation, but shout out here to those sound effects. That's really high quality.
我が手推定。
Another fantastic example of the sound quality during this attack, but also that block-breaking type of animation really got me thinking of Midoriya vs Todoroki or a few scenes from Black Clover. Plot twist!
なるほどな。クレイマンに操られて苦しんでいるのか。わかった。今助けてやるよ。
Being nice to animals is always a win.
よしよし。
It's so adorable!
ラミリス様がテンペストに移り住めば、そのまま我もついていけるということ。そうなったら、ラミリス様を通してリムル様のお役にも立てる次第です。
This scene here proving to be an example of what I wrote for win number 350, where people are just naturally drawn to him and want to be close by.
Hadouken! Hadouken! Hadouken!
I understand these references!
魔王すらも支配する究極の支配の呪法なんだぞ。
I don't really understand why none of his attacks are working, but it's awesome and I'm here for all of it. They can take 2 wins here once again for that attack. That was like multiple instances of continuous motion type shots in one attack, and I'm always surprised at how they pull out the big guns of animation for their battles when it counts. Credit to the animators. Oh boy, you already knew that scene and attack was getting its own win.
なんでそんなことをする必要があるのだ？カリオン！そんなバレバレの変装は！
Okay, so 2 wins here. First one is for the sudden and unexpected art style change. And the second one is for the 2 great plot twists. Firstly, that she was in control the entire time, and then that Carrion was alive and well and in that lion disguise. So many twists! Can't show most of that attack since she lopped off his old armies, but it looked great! I can only show this bit as the rest had Clayman in it and he's a mess obviously, but have one here for the end to this part of the story. It was actually wholesome seeing Rimuru tell him everything that had happened on his behalf, such as the rebuilding efforts and everything, and this music seals the deal.
ティアの言う通りです。ちゃんと私たちを頼るように。ああ、フットマン。
I didn't expect that! They're dishing these guys up now as new antagonists, and nicely doing so by mentioning his power being lower than theirs. A final 2 wins award is definitely needed here, outside of the shock that he sort of returned to power, which turned out to be expected, but the voice acting from Clayman was on point, and the fight was made more intense by everyone wishing him good luck in the coming battle, and of course, as always, awesome animation and effects leading up to that point too. Well deserved.
だがな、私の本気もこんなものではないのだよ。食らうがいい。この私の最高の奥義を。
That's just straight up gorgeous looking. Not much else to say. That got me feeling vibes of Netero from Hunter x Hunter. I was going to put that defending move alongside the previous win, but in all honesty, it stands on its own for looking amazing. Going first person like it's no big deal whatsoever, and Rimuru showing off some extreme levels of power in this battle. And to think I was feeling nervous about it beforehand. Just a final win here for the voice actor, truly an excellent choice for this character, and 50% of the win goes for the character in general as the main antagonist till now. A genuinely fantastic pair of voice actors for these two. I'm in awe.
何の話でしょう。私は魔王バレンタイン様の忠実なる次女ですが、バレンタインはメイドに化けて正体を隠しているつもりなのだ。ベルドラよ、それを言ってはダメなのだ。全部バラしたー。
That's just too good. It's too good not to win. Tensura, as always, doing a great job of building the next antagonist through this conversation and the next part of the story coming during the following season.
そうだ、油断は禁物。自分だけならともかく、今の俺には守るべき仲間たちがいるのだから。
Ah, bless his little blue heart for always thinking about his friends and his people with every big decision and moment.
だって、部下や配下になると気軽に話してくれなくなるだろ。一緒に遊んだり悪巧みもしてくれなくなるんだろ。
大体だな。お前が俺様の国を吹き飛ばしたのが原因だろうが、俺様たちを養う義務があるんだよ。
The eagle-looking demon lord is semi-nude, and as such I'm being careful. Your boy needs ad revenue, you know? But all the same, I'm enjoying these two declaring their loyalty to Milim, as it means they'll be around much more in the third season if I had to guess.
何を笑っとるんじゃ、クソボケが！
誰に向かって？
ドラゴが！友達を笑うな！中途半
This was unexpected!
ああ、キアは泣くやろな。せやから、ワイが笑たるわ。
Surprising, touching end to the scene there, not gonna lie. He really felt for his friend and it showed in the best way, especially as the laugh turns to sounding like a cry near the end. Oh, you're squeezing a last-minute scenery shot out of me, aren't you? That's awesome, I mean, look at it. Oh heck yes, they can take a final win here all day long for what I thought was an amazing 12 episodes, or kind of 13 in total, and if you count season 2 as 24, or kind of 25 episodes in total, it's beyond brilliant. I loved the very end as well, as everyone came out to greet him home. I thought the pacing was godlike, the storytelling most excellent, and I really enjoyed the setup for the following season and the confirmation for that season at the very, very end. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please be sure to leave a like and a comment. I'd super appreciate that. And make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss out on everything coming soon. Patreon is, as always, also linked below if you'd like to vote in what I make or just support me in general. And of course, I'll see you in the next video. Nathan Bird, Bird Without a Word, Tyler Warner, PK Fan, Ali 50, Ryan Anderson, Isael Caldera, Mr. Waffle 64, Kieran Robinson, Chris Harris, Jonas Stahl, Manolo Saucedo Munoz, Kim Munt, Jason Davies, The Element Taylor Wars, Manuel Morales, Carnito, Dark Lord Bloody Soul, Blitzcloud, Sebastian Ramirez, Oro Keeper, Jaffa 6263, Magnus, Kevin Nelter, Aniki Kerr, Brendan Krier, Kaj Vorzelman, Jordan Samuels, Sean Graves, The Epic Commander, Crimson Shadows, Kyle Farmer, Adora Blue, Matthew Ditzworth, Sentimento, Gaten 2000, Mackie Sam, Storm 970, Hinakami and Water.